Good morning and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate every time someone watches any of my videos. I just wanted to start with this before I do my actual pour that I'm going to do with you today. So, you know, I'm sure we're all kind of most of us at least, are in self-isolation, social distancing, practicing all the good things to, you know, flatten the curve of this pandemic. So I have been laid off for today's day 5. Going a little bit crazy, but it's nicer out today, so I'm definitely going to get out for a walk today to get myself feeling a little bit mentally better. But of course, doing acrylic pouring, it really helps me keep sane also. So the other day I did a bunch of pours, and my video, the one number 23, shows what I did. But one of the ones that I did on the discs didn't turn out the way I liked it, so I decided to paint over it, but to try a different technique when I did it. And when I did that, I really liked this over pour result here, which is on this one here. So you can't see obviously what was underneath it, but you will see some of that in just a minute or two, because that's what my surprise is about today. And then I did this additional pour using the same colors because I liked the pink, gray, and white so well together. They're just very soft and pretty looking. So that is round number 2. And then of course I had to do more because I did have some paint available, and this is a 10 by 10 canvas, and I again used the same colors and then just kind of flicked a little bit of white, extra white, because it wasn't looking, the white had disappeared in this one. So really pretty results, really nice results on all of them, and I really like them. But what I did with this one that I had poured on and didn't like the end result was I put 3 pieces of painter's tape on the canvas over top of the pour that I didn't like. So 3 pieces of painter's tape, you can see them hanging off here on the ends, I hope. So and then I poured over top, and then so this has been dried for about 24 hours now. So I am going to pull the paint off and see what is underneath. And hopefully it's going to introduce a really nice result. Now, being that I worked at Home Depot for 8.5 years, I may have just done a beginner's mistake, and I wondered about this when I did it. So if this gets wrecked, it's not a big deal. It's just a cardboard cake round, so it's not going to be something that I'm worried about whether it really turns out or not. But when you are doing painting, as you may or may not know, if let's say you're painting a wall and you put tape along the edge of the baseboard, for example, to keep the baseboards clean as you're painting the walls, you need to remove the tape as soon as you're done painting, because when it dries, it will create a bond with the paint on the wall, in this case, and could end up peeling off the paint that you did on the wall. So I think I shouldn't have waited the 24 hours to do this, to pull this paint off, because I can see already that it's pulling the top coat off not in a straight line. But we'll see what we can do. In fact, it may end up doing more damage than good. So, but it was an experiment, and again, kind of a beginner's mistake that I made, waiting for the tape to dry like this, or the paint to dry, and then pulling the paint off. I should have pulled the paint off when it was still wet, or at least not, you know, not brand new wet, because in this case then this paint might have overflowed onto the paint underneath and not shown the stripes like I'm trying to show here. But I should have maybe only let it dry for an hour or so and then pulled this tape off. But that's all right. It's just an experiment, like I said. But this is what's happening: is the paint is the tape is tearing and not coming off properly. But and see, now it's actually tearing the cardboard. So this is what happens when you do this. And again, I don't mind showing people failures as much as successes, because that's what this is all about, is just experimenting and fun. But yeah, this is definitely not what I was hoping for, but at the same time not surprising. I should have known that something like this could happen because I left the tape on so long. But let's just pull this last piece off so that we can see what happens. So, lesson learned, ladies and gents, anybody watching, to make sure you pull the tape off before the top coat dries completely, because this is what's happening. It's created that bond like I talked about with the top paint, and has created this issue right here. I'm just going to pull that piece off. So Not a success at all, but not a big deal in that I wasn't worried about this keeping this piece necessarily. Now, it might have turned out differently on a canvas. I don't think the paint would have ripped the canvas like this one is done, but it probably still would have stretched and pulled the paint, the top coat paint, like this one did. So again, a lesson learned, but I think you can get the idea of what I was trying to achieve here. So you can see what was underneath, and I just didn't like it. And so painting over and doing the stripes with the tape kind of gave me an idea of just showing some of the underneath through and creating a different look. Now again, this one isn't necessarily a best match, but I do like that I took the chance and did the experiment, and you can get an idea of the kind of things you can achieve. Just remember, don't let the paint, don't let the paint dry overnight, because you're likely to have happen what I just had happen, where a bond is created because right over top of the tape, because of pouring completely over top, and when you go to pull it off, you end up ripping and tearing because of that bond. Now, that being said, theoretically you could carefully take an X-Acto type knife and cut along the tape lines very, very gently so that you don't go through to the undersurface. But again, that's taking a risk. I am going to experiment this maybe on a small canvas to see if the same thing happens on a canvas. So I will, in that case, to try and recreate the same results, I will leave the tape on for 24 hours before trying to pull it off to see if the same thing happens. So I'll just use a small canvas and that, so I don't waste too much. But I do like the idea of what I attempted there, and I'm going to definitely try it again, like I said, on a canvas, and then if it works out well on a canvas, I may do it here and there more often as a type of art. So I hope you enjoyed that for now, and then let's move on to the rest of our video for today. Okay, so let's get doing today's pour. I'm going to do a metallic swipe on a 10 inch by 20 inch canvas. I haven't done a swipe in quite a long time actually, and I'd done a metallic swipe a while ago. It turned out really, really good when I look back on it, but for some reason at the time I didn't like it, and I ended up pouring over it, and I did get an excellent result on the pouring over it, but I'm not sure why I ever poured over it to begin with when I looked at the pictures I had taken of it. So I'm just going to flood my canvas here using the Artist Loft Ready Mix Black. So I'm just going to spread this out to cover the canvas. I'm not going to worry about the sides right now. I can do those at a later date. Just want to make sure this is covered in order to do the swipe. Hope everyone is, like I said in the first part of this video, was staying safe, staying healthy, getting out for a nice walk while keeping physical distancing going. It rained here, poured here for the last 2 days in Vancouver, so I didn't get out, and I could definitely feel that restlessness because I didn't get out. So today it is sunny so far, and seems that it's going to be like that for the whole day. So I'm definitely going to get out for a walk today by myself, keeping that social distancing, that physical distancing, but I didn't find any problems with that when I was out a few days ago. People were definitely obeying that, which I appreciate. I'm sure everyone does. You know, it does seem that we are making some progress here in BC with, I believe, less cases being diagnosed than were before. Before people were coming down hard with the social distancing, so I'm hoping that we are flattening the curve. It seems like we're headed in the right direction, but I believe we do still have a ways to go yet, so it's not time to just go back to everyday activities yet, for sure. So there we go, I got this all covered. Now this is just I think a level 1 Artist Loft canvas from Michaels, and I do find this size, I probably should use those little wooden pieces to tighten this up a bit, because I do find this size canvas tends to sag in the middle a bit, but so therefore the paint is running away from the edges a little bit. So I'm actually just going to put a little bit more along the edges just to make sure that things are covered the way I'd like them to be, so that when I do the swipe I don't end up swiping the paint off the edges. I am using metallics, like I said, so I'm using a variety of colors and 2 or 3 different brands. I'll show those to you in just a minute. And I think I'm just going to use paper towels to swipe today. I've done that in the past and always liked the results I've gotten. So again, just going to spread this over that edge. It doesn't want to go over that edge on this side for some reason. Okay, I'm just going to leave that for now. I can fix that up later. So the colors I'm using today, I'm using the Artist Loft Metallic Cobalt Blue. And then I'm using 3 colors from the DecoArt Extreme Sheens. I'm using the Amethyst. I am using the Pink Tourmaline. And I'm using the Emerald. I'm also going to use these Art Minds DIY Now Golds. So this one is called Gypsy Gold. So it's a darker gold than some golds. And this one is called Cleopatra. And it's a bit of a lighter, brighter gold than a lot of golds. I think those two are both kind of the DecoArt 24 karat gold would kind of be in the middle of those color-wise. I'm just going to quickly torch the bubbles out of this. I shook it up just now. Okay. So now I am going to put silicone in each of the colors, so bear with me while I do that also, because I do want to get some wonderful cells, although generally you get cells anyways from swiping, but I want to make sure I get some awesome cells. And I'm just using a little bit of paint here, so I'm just going to put 2 little drops into each color, including the golds. And I do, right now I still just use the Artist Loft silicone oil. It seems to work well for me. I haven't tried anything else at this point in time. So I'm going to move my colors around a little bit, as I don't want the golds to be next to each other. Give them all a good stir. And these are just, I didn't measure the paint or the Floetrol. I just put a bit of paint in the bottom of the cup and then added Floetrol and a little bit of time and stirred till I got the consistency I wanted. I'm not sure which one though, color I'm going to use as my swipe color. But I'm thinking I'm going to use, decision. I think I'm going to use the Amethyst as my actual swipe color. Although I could use black, and that would be pretty awesome, so maybe I'll do that. Okay, so layering these down, I'm going to start with the Gypsy Gold, and I'm going to go straight across the middle and do a swipe in both directions for this one. So here we go. Start so that your paint is just off the edge of the canvas so that you don't end up with a line. And I may not have made these, I think I've made them thin enough. We shall see. They are flowing nicely, so that is the Gypsy Gold. And now I'm going to go with the Cobalt Metallic Blue. I like to start sometimes at each opposite end so that I don't end up with a big fat blob at the beginning side every time. I try and balance that out. You don't need a lot of paint for swipes. I might have put too much of that Gypsy Gold on there. Next up is the Emerald Green. Starting at the opposite end again. And they don't have to be right on top of each other, of course. And next we'll go with the Cleopatra Gold. And then the Pink Tourmaline. This looks so pretty already. Almost don't want to do anything with it. And then last but not least, the amethyst. And if you've been watching my channel at all, you know that purple is my absolute favorite color. So I tend to use a lot of it. Okay, and now we're going to quickly give that a torch just to get rid of any air bubbles out of those colors. Good. And then I'm going to lay down I'm debating, am I actually going to swipe with the paper towel, or am I going to use plastic? Give me 1 second here. I do have plastic that I could use. I'm going to cut that. I think I'll use the plastic. Okay. I'm just going to put some paper towel here to be able to wipe off the plastic. All right, so let's put a thin layer of the black down just to swipe with. Just want a thin amount, you don't need a lot. All right, and let's go ahead and swipe. So this plastic is just some plastic sheeting that a friend had given me when I told him what I was looking for. So it's not always perfect, but it seems, oh, unfortunately the black is sinking in, but let's do our swipe anyways. The plastic is folded on that end. All right, so I just want to get it in the middle, just touching down all over, and we'll just drag this through. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Look at that. I love that. All right, let's do this last part on this side. Get that to drop in there hopefully nicely. And drag. Excellent. Liking that very much. All right, so just going to move these paints out of the way, and I'm going to flip the canvas around to drag the other direction. It's just easier for me to be able to do it that way. So here we go. All right, I'm going to flip even though I wiped it mostly off, I'm still going to flip it over to use the other edge, although the other edge is not cut straight. Give me a second, I just want to, actually I'll just use my other piece. Just want a nice straight edge. Oh, not that one, there we go, this one's pretty straight. And I'm just going to lay down a little bit more black because that black seemed to disappear. Just along the edge there. And then we'll do the same thing, touching our plastic to the edge all the way down and lightly dragging. Nice. I'll turn this over so I can wipe some more. All right, let's do this last side here, last little section. Get it to lightly touch down and drag. Okay, so what's happening there, you see that big black streak right here, it's because the plastic wasn't touching. I'm going to cut a piece of the plastic, just a thin piece, so that I can just swipe that section without affecting too much of the rest of it. Oops. All right, so we will drag this down right here. Let that touch and drag. There we go. Awesome. Oh my God, look at that. Look at the cells and the webbing. This is fantastic. This is even better than that one I did originally that I told you about, and unfortunately didn't keep the pictures to show you because I had painted over it, like I said, and didn't intend to keep it. But this is magnificent. I'll definitely have to put black all the way around the sides. That's not a big deal. I can do that at any point. But this is amazing. I'm just going to let it sit for another minute so you can have and I'll bring you in for a close-up. I'm debating while it sits as to whether I think I need to torch it, but I really don't think I do. Maybe to get some air bubbles out, but that's going to be it. I'm just going to do a very quick faraway pour, or faraway torch, so that I'm just mostly getting air bubbles. There we go. And one thing I have seen in my personal preference for swipes is I don't like a big thick line between the halves, which is quite often, most often when I do my swipes, I'll swipe from like the top edge down and just do one big swipe. But this one I thought would look really nice with the half and half, and also what they call a reflection type thing, and I'm really glad that I did it. But as you can see, the line is very, very thin, sometimes even blends that you can't quite see the line, which is fine. Really, really liking this. This is lovely. So just going to let that sit for a minute, and then we'll be back to bring you in for the close-up. Okay, let's bring you down for the close-up. I didn't do anything else with it. I've just been leaving it sit, and I'm just absolutely amazed and in love with it. This is awesome. Hopefully the metallics aren't going to disappear into the black. I have had that happen before, and it might happen here again. I'm hoping not. Hoping I made my paint consistencies the right amount so that that won't happen. But let's take you in for a close-up of different areas. So I'm just going to move in over here. I'll try and prevent the glare. So we'll go down to the bottom left corner here, and you can see the webbing, the lacing, that type of thing. You can see almost all the individual colors come through, the metallic cobalt, the golds, the amethyst, the emerald green. The only one that seems to be getting lost, at least in this corner, was the pink tourmaline. But as we're moving over, you can start to see the pink tourmaline right there. So very, very nice. Like I said, trying to keep the glare away for you. Loving all the webbing and the cells, and just amazing. Let's go up across the center line here. I love the amazing cells we got all along this first side that I swiped. Just like, look at this patch right here. Just phenomenal. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I'll move across the middle here. I do apologize again for the glare. Still something I need to work on my lighting, but right now with this pandemic, it's not something that's a priority. But oh my goodness, look at this. Just absolutely, absolutely love this. And that's going across the middle. And then we'll go up to the left top corner where we get back into the lacing again with all the different colors coming through. So pretty. Like I said, hoping that the colors, the metallics, don't disappear into the black. We'll find out in 24 hours or so once it dries. But I'm hoping that it stays exactly as it is right now. I'm actually not going to worry about the edges right now because I don't want anything to be pulled over the sides. So I'm just going to leave it and actually just scrape off the edges so nothing's running over the sides, so that hopefully that will prevent anything from pulling off the paint. I'm just going to pull back and give you a full look at the whole thing. So there we go. Metallic swipe on black, 10-inch by 20-inch canvas. Oh, I just love it. So I hope you love it too, and if you do love it, I hope if you're not already subscribed, that you'll subscribe down there in the box, that little red box, and also that you will hit the bell notification so that you'll know when I post my next videos. I'm going to go out for a walk. Have a great day, everyone.